ladies and gentlemen, we are down to the last match of the day as SKT T1K is taking on Cloud9. Both of these teams are coming in off a win in their first games in the All-Star group stage. For SKT, they are playing very well as a team. They are definitely in control of the games that they've played thus far. I particularly want to highlight Impact. He went 6-1-6 on Shyvana in their first game of the day. Had very good positioning. Monty, I know you quite like Shyvana as a champion, and we know you love SKT. Care to comment on SKT and what you've seen?
I mean, Shyvana and Impact were just doing really well, of course, in their first game tonight. And he does pick up the slack when his teammates are being camped or something like that. He is perfectly capable of carrying out of the top lane. And Shyvana in general is just such a versatile champion these days. She doesn't have a lot of trouble in early game matchups, except against really Renekton. There's some oddball picks as well. But she also just scales so well into the late game. And you have so many build options on her too. You can go that Blade of the Ruined King first. You can go full tank depending on what your team needs. And I think Impact really was shining in that first game with his flank engages. That's something you can immediately get onto the back line, especially if you have good vision control. They never see it coming. So very strong champion and a strong player, but their first game was really a team effort to win more than any individual player performance in my mind.
Something I want to highlight here, actually, as we had the footage of Impact right there, is how their coach is interacting with him. He's constantly around them, just making sure he's calm, giving him tips. You could see he was talking to him for like 30-35 seconds, saying like, okay, you got to do this, this, and this, avoid this. And that's really what separates Korea as a region from a lot of the other regions. We're trying to get there with all our infrastructure-wise, but they already have this set. They have multiple sets of coaches, and I know Manhi probably knows more about like the intricacies of how that works. But it's really nice to see like they even bring their notes down. And
just
really
as a side on that, that notebook flips vertically as opposed to horizontally, therefore being superior to Lemon Nation's notebook. The only reason I bring that up, they are on the other side of the rift. Now, I also want to highlight, in the very first game, I didn't notice Lemon Nation's notebook. He has downgraded to loose pieces of paper. I'm severely disappointed. But I need to see if it helps them out or not. I do want to highlight something that's maybe a little risque. I don't know if they would have beaten Fnatic in the first game of the day had Fnatic not made the mistakes that they made. Freak, discuss.
Yeah, so Fnatic were controlling that game for the most part. They were steadily getting bigger advantages, controlling objectives, doing everything great. And then Fnatic overstepped. They took a couple of 4v5s in a row they shouldn't have taken, and that put them way far behind and gave C9 the game. Now, when I watched SKT's game earlier today, they had a very similar situation. They were controlling all the lanes. They found some good ganks. But many of those ganks felt overzealous. SKT gave away a lot of kills they shouldn't have, and there's a glimmer there that's kind of similar.
Just remember, though, one thing is the other team making a mistake. Another thing is you actually seeing this mistake and then punish the team for it. And that's what Cloud9 did so well in the game against Fnatic, because every time Fnatic tried to do something, Cloud9 would just turn it around on them. If they can do the same against SKT, of course, they might be able to win the game here, but I don't see SKT do the same kind of mistakes Fnatic did.
Yeah, and the big difference too was when the deaths we saw with SKT, they never lost pressure. They still controlled the tempo of the game. So yes, they may have overextended, but there weren't any adverse ramifications, and nor was there even really an opportunity to regain control of pressure.
Well, final thought from Krepo just before we move on there.
Yeah, I just wanted to agree with Monty there. Like, their map movements were still really solid. Yeah, sure, they flashed a little far because they had a teammate probably shouting in their ear like, I'm coming to back you up. And those are really minor details compared to how well they were playing the maps and quote-unquote having their rotations work out. So they definitely looked solid.
Well, it is time for the prediction game, the last one of the day. And I want to know from you guys, who is going to come out victorious? The #1 team from the region with the greatest rotations out of all, the greatest individual play that can win 2v1s, 4v0s, 3v1s, or SKT? Defisher, who's going to win?
Well, I'll give it to SKT, but I think Cloud9, just by winning the first game, they...
Did my speech not inspire you? Monty, I don't even want to ask you.
I went for my boy Link and the good guys on Cloud9 first, but I think that SK Telecom is just on another level.
Looking for the team kill there from Monte Cristo. Krepo?
You did almost sell me apple pie, and I'm really hungry, but I still have to like bring up something, a remnant of the past. If we remember back to World Finals, I got this from a dear friend of mine, and I treasure it with all my heart, so I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to go for SKT.
Freak, before you lock it in, 19 games undefeated. Take it now, and it'll be 20 games undefeated.
Yeah, well, you know what's great is there's a couple of really top North American teams that don't beat Korean teams. And Cloud9 is going to be one of them, unfortunately. SKT will be, the second place team in the group. They'll win.
Guys, I tried. I mean, this is what I've got to work with. Anyways, it is time to check out how you guys at home have voted over at lolesports.com. And with 71%, really? You guys aren't even on my side? SKT T1K will be picking up their second win. Thank you very much for this one. We're going to send it over to the guys at the caster desk, where the teams are ready in the lobby. Take it away, Joe.
Thank you very much, guys. This match will, of course, mark the first time that SK Telecom T1K and Cloud9 have faced each other in a competitive match. And while SKT's Faker hopes to show his opponents a good game, Cloud9's Meteos is just trying not to psych himself out at the thought of who's playing against him.
일단은 C9과는 서로 못 만나봐서 이번에 처음 만나는 거니까 기대되는 팀이 있고 각 대륙마다 잘하고 있는 팀들만 온 거잖아요. 그래서 조금 여기서 플레이할 수 있는 거에 대해 좀 기대하고 있어요.
SKT has been the most dominant team in basically the history of League of Legends for the past year or so.
Just recently they kind of dropped that, but they're still a very good team.
일단 클라우드9이 오랜 기간 동안 1위를 유지하고 좀 기량이 떨어졌을 때도 2위 하면서 좀 그런 걸 보면 실력도 있고 열정적인 선수들이 있다고 생각하거든요. 그래서 이번에 꼭 좋은 경기 보여주고 싶어요, 클라우드9.
Well, Faker's extremely good mechanically, and he sort of just knows what to do all the time. So he's probably the best mid player that we'll ever really play against as a team. I'll try to not suck myself out too much, obviously, and who knows, maybe we can win.
Probably the best mid laner that they're ever going to face as a team. We saw Link doing a decent job against Peke in their victory earlier. Faker, is he a different class, though?
I mean, Faker has always been one cut above, at least in Season 3, but so far, after people have kind of watched the amazing things he does, people have been able to emulate a lot of it. Link, though, has never had a chance to play against someone like Faker.
Well, we're going to find out here shortly, but first we're going to check out the starting lineups. In the blue corner, it's the current world champions from Korea, OGN's SK Telecom T1K, with Impact in the top lane, Bengi in the jungle, Faker in the mid lane, and the duo of Piglet and Pumandu.
And in the red corner, it is North American LCS's Cloud9, with Balls in the top lane, Meteos in the jungle, Link in mid lane, and of course Sneaky and Lemon Nation on AD carry and support.
And for this game, we'll be venturing deep into the jungle for our featured matchup. It's Bengi versus Meteos.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of talk already about how Bengi thrived in this Season 3 meta where everything was about vision control for him, but he's really struggled to find his place in the game as it is played today. He's been trying a lot of different champions and playstyles, but he hasn't found a way to have huge impact on games yet. You know, when Bengi is at his best, he knows every move of the enemy jungler and is very much a control-focused jungler, which is his game. Meteos, on the other hand, is an efficient jungler, how I like to categorize it, making very quick decisions and then not wasting any clicks or steps. He's actually taken even more steps to become more of an early presence this year, and he didn't lose out on his overall gold gainer level. So whether he can have that presence without High in the mid lane and with Link in the mid lane will be a big decider in this match. He did a very good job in the first game. It really surprised me, actually, that they were able to take out Fnatic with this new mid lane presence. I called Link High about 500 times during the game because it very much just looked like Cloud9.
They didn't seem to have any hesitation when it came to those decisions later on into the game, the area where we felt that Cloud9 would be the weakest. They definitely stepped things up. As I said before, though, current world champions may just be a different beast as we head towards Champ Select.
And a different beast indeed is something. We're going to know a lot more about the overall standings of the groups after these guys have played, though. 2 undefeated teams as far as group stages go, both 1-0. Who's going to be taken down a notch? Obviously, SKT is the heavy favorite.
Let's have a look then at the bans coming out already. 2 of them for SKT with Kha'Zix and Jax taken away here. So 1 towards the jungle, 1 towards Balls in the top lane. For Cloud9, current first ban will be Lee Sin. So we don't want to allow Bengi to get on Lee Sin.
I wonder if they're going to target Bengi fairly heavily, knowing he's had a bit of struggle in the past. Maybe they want to force him onto something like Nunu. OMG had a very good Nunu game. SKT T1K is the other team in this tournament that is fairly Nunu heavy as far as what they're willing to pick in Champion Select. And one other thing about Cloud9 that they've really been trending towards recently is just late game champions. that's what we saw with the Twitch, and that's what we saw in their NALCS finals against TSM.
Well, speaking of Twitch, Lucian is banned away here. We've seen Sneaky play Twitch already. We know that Piglet plays a lot of Twitch. You've got to expect that Twitch is probably going to appear somewhere in these lineups. Kassadin was the final ban from SKT, and, well, Kassadin coming back into his ban rotations.
Yeah, he's going to see that almost every game, but guess what is still on the board? Faker playmaker right there, and he just locks in the LeBlanc. He hasn't gotten a chance to play it much. He's played it one time in the 17 games they played in Champions and NLB combined. It was a victory, though.
Let's see if that can be the record here moving forward against Cloud9. One thing's for sure, always an absolute pleasure to watch someone like Faker on LeBlanc. Other side, there's the Twitch that we were expecting for Sneaky, and Elise also picked up by Meteos. What else would it be?
Yeah.
Played now 7 games in a row with Elise if we go back into the NALCS playoffs.
Some things in this world are true, and Meteos will pick Elise if it's up as soon as they possibly can. The Twitch seems to be the other thing that is their new Tier 1 AD carry, but man, they gave up LeBlanc for it. And if anyone could pop a Twitch when he pops out of stealth, it's Faker's LeBlanc. Yeah. That'll be tricky.
That will be tricky for him. We'll see how Sneaky and the rest of Cloud9 really deal with what Faker can do. Their single target blowing up potential really is what we're going to be seeing out of Faker, unless maybe they can stop him before he gets to that point.
Exactly, and I wonder with all of SKT T1's coaches how heavily they're going to target Cloud9's money champions and how much they're going to go on their own thing. And right now it looks like SKT is just picking what they want, not trying to take away from Cloud9. Because if you want to make sure that Faker blows up a Twitch, you get rid of the Black Shield for Morgana, which Lemon Nation is his most played support, undefeated, 11-0. They're most likely going to pick it on this rotation through in picks and bans to try and give them a bit of immunity. SKT is happy with going with their champions as well.
Yep, Evelyn, a relatively high-featured champion for Bengi so far
most played
this season. Yeah, relatively high being, well, the most high, if that's even a real thing. For Cloud9, no changes really so far. Lulu locked in for Link again in the mid lane. Morgana picked up again for Lemon Nation in the support role.
They could actually get exactly the same team comp they had against Fnatic if they want to do Trundle in the last pick. There's a few fan chants wanting some tricky picks. I don't know if they'll get it though.
Yeah, Piglet was hovering over Maokai. The entire stadium is now booing because he switched away from Maokai and went instead over towards Ezreal. Not seen any Ezreal in our normal games here today, but we of course did see 2 Ezreals in our Earth game, which obviously not particularly comparable, but well, if he plays anything like Bjergsen did earlier on today, then that's dangerous stuff. Leona as well here possibly for Mandu as the clock runs down.
Mandu has done a lot of jumping around on supports, trying to find exactly what works for him, and he honestly hasn't found much. Piglet has very much been a guy who wants to hard carry games. Bane's a champion that he can try to do that on.
Last second switch out to Bane, and whilst they were booing Piglet 10 seconds ago because he didn't lock in Maokai, they gave a big cheer once this Bane does get locked in with the Zyra support. On the other side, Balls makes this an unchanged roster for Cloud9 by picking up the Trundle for the top lane.
As far as Cloud9 goes, we've seen the way they want to play this one. They are happy doing straight up lanes. They can wait a little bit till late game when Twitch and Trundle get going. And as far as team fights go, they're just trying to chain the Cocoon from Elise and the Dark Binding from Morgana. The SKT composition, though, is obviously something we haven't seen so far. Faker will definitely be trying to assassinate Sneaky and dominate the lanes. I really want to see if they go into the lane swapping game to get Piglet a little bit away from the threat of Dark Binding, which is a huge threat for a Vayne in the laning phase, or if Piglet has the need to try and show he is the better AD carry, which is definitely one of the things he's been trying to prove in Champions.
Whether they all just match straight up in that 2v2, as we saw with Cloud9 and Fnatic earlier on today. We'll find out soon. The 2 teams, of course, have picked their champions, so we want to know who you guys think are going to win this one. Send your choice using hashtag SKTWin or C9Win to @LOL Esports, and we'll check your answers soon. Jack, I have to ask you your opinion on this one, now that we've got the team comps in there for both sides.
I like the fact that they are so comfortable on the champions they have as far as Cloud9 is concerned. But honestly, this is SKT right now. There's a reason that all the analyst desks picked them. There's a reason they're the Season 3 World Champions. They are the heavy favorites here, especially with Cloud9 playing without Hot.
And I have to go back to it because it is really the big storyline for Cloud9 here. Will they be able to pull out a similar performance to that last game where you could arguably say we didn't see any major difference in terms of calls when it came towards that later stage of the game? We're going to find out because we're in game here between SKT and Cloud9. Both teams looking to stay undefeated here as they take to the Rift for their second game here today. And maybe even more interesting for us, are we going to see any more level 1 action? Because teams have been drawn to fighting it out at level 1 so far today.
They have been all over the place as far as going for those level 1 engages. There is the Dark Binding. There is the Zyra as well, which is a pass-through Dark Binding early on in the game. They are looking extremely defensive right now, however.
Mondu is, well, Piglet as well. They're using those SKT skins. Their own skins.
They better.
Basically, Reddit has been asking for this the entire week when it came to TPA versus SKT. Not quite on that level, but 2-in-1 game. Could definitely be happy about that one. Meanwhile, Bengi is playing a typical Evelyn start to the game here and just using himself and that invisibility to scout out the positions of Cloud9. The ping's actually going down towards blue buff on Cloud9's side of the map here. Bengi, of course, will be able to just check out exactly where Meteos is. Looks like, actually, we're going to be seeing a possible lane swap. Morgana moving up the map will join Sneaky's Rat here towards that top side of the map, although Trundle is there as well, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, what does Cloud9 really have planned here? It could actually be a delayed invade, which would then channel into a lane swap. Putting a lot of pressure on the SKT Soul lanes here to kind of group up. Oh no, though. SKT has snuck behind enemy lines. They're going to take both buffs from Cloud9 early. That is some sneaky moves right there from Bengi.
That is exactly what we were talking about with the invisible Evelyn. You see that Mondu and Piglet just doing the blue buff on the other side. Impact has now walked up into the Cloud9 jungle and will be helping Bengi take that red buff away. Meanwhile, Mondu just finishing off the rest of that camp. Meteos has finished the blue now on SKT's side of things. We'll be playing the body game there with balls to take away some farm. Impact, of course, doing the same with Bengi, but that is 2 buffs at the start here for SKT.
This is a really crazy level 1 as far as how it's going to go from here, because there's actually a pretty big risk of Meteos getting caught in his own jungle, or in the enemy jungle by Bengi as well. We're not going to be able to see the same fast pushing because there's a support looking around in Cloud9's jungle. There's only 2 people bottom that are slow pushing. This is a completely just thrown off level 1 right now.
Nervous starts, I think, for Cloud9, not really knowing where everyone is. In the end, they commit to a 3-man push here onto the outer turret in the top lane. The reaction for SKT is a little bit different. They're going to go for, well, what would usually say the 2-buff start actually will end up being a 3-buff start, funnily enough, this time around.
But actually a delayed recall from Lemon Nation. He thought about going back and then was like, wait a minute, now I have to stay for 4. These type of miscommunications can't necessarily happen for Cloud9, a team that is normally so efficient and decisive, and was very efficient and decisive against Cloud9. They cannot falter against the defending world champions.
Just letting those minions be taken down before finishing off that turret. SKT not got themselves up to the turret itself and done any damage as of now. Balls did, of course, just TP in there into that bottom lane. So Cloud9 take the first turret of the game. They're going to have some protection down in this bottom lane, but that's level 3.
Watch out
this
for the
is
dive.
really, really bad. They're going straight in onto him. Mondu is tanking it. That's going to be first blood. Goes over to Mondu. In the end, they probably would have wanted to have that on Piglet, but a kill's a kill.
Yeah, and it was just an execute kill onto Mondu. He almost over-tanked the turret so Piglet could kill him and continue the push without being a threat. And Faker burns a flash solo in that mid lane.
That is terrible news, pretty much, for Link here. We did see, of course, in the game earlier on, it was Faker who actually was forced to flash in the early game. This time around, though, with the mobility of LeBlanc and Link not having a flash, Link has to play this one super, super carefully and defensively. As Piglet here, now back on towards that turret. Cloud9 have moved their jungler in to keep a hold of it.
Yeah. The fact that they're up a turret but actually not up in gold speaks very poorly for their overall chances in this game right here. For all of SKT's struggles in their slump that they've been in, they're still incredibly good mechanical players. Just the tactical game that they've been missing out on. They're doing fine early on in this one, and they still have the mechanics.
Impact actually getting hit by the bind in there, was trying to bait things out. should have been pretty obvious, in my opinion, to Cloud9 that something like that was going to be happening. Bengi, of course, did go in. They decided not to really follow through with any of that damage. So let's have a look where it's left. I want to specifically, of course, focus on the 2 AD carries here.
Yeah.
Vayne, more farm at this point than Sneaky. Got that assist in there as well.
And that's still a very starved and farmed Trundle, which is completely counter to the way Cloud9 likes to play. They really are one of the rare teams that often employs a top lane carry as far as Balls is, and there's no way that can happen with the early start in this game unless they give him a lot of free time and protect him somehow. Making him defend this turret 1v2 against a Vayne and a Zyra with multiple stun options is not going to lead to a strong late game Trundle.
Yeah, and a very strong late game Vayne, which is pretty much the exact opposite of what Cloud9 are going to be wanting from this one. Meteos, of course, did decide to come back down to this turret to give his top laner, or his solo laner, obviously down in the bottom this time around, that extra bit of support. But the damage onto the turret is slowly but surely working toward SKT's first turret of the game.
Yeah, SKT absolutely with an upper hand in that bottom lane. And then also in mid lane. It's not like Cloud9 is getting advantages elsewhere, and considering that Meteos had to go down to the bottom lane to also defend, he's not able to lend aid anywhere else. Faker should continue to punish Link here. You can see Link is buying a fair amount of wards. He wants to kind of control vision from the mid lane. But if he can't get out from underneath his turret, the wards are no good.
You have to feel, though, that turret is the safest place for him right now.
Yeah.
He's got no flash at this stage. The enemy jungler's an Evelynn, which you're not going to see unless he's right on top of you, unless he walks through a pink ward. The turret's the only thing that's really going to save you at that stage of things. So Link here has now hit level 6. That wild growth is going to make him feel a lot more comfortable. And there is that classic pink ward against an Evelynn.
Trying to stop the Evelynn flanks. And something that we have to mention, because we've seen so much mid-lane Lulu here at the All-Star event, is it's not nearly the lane bully that it used to be.
Yeah.
When the help picks nerfs hit, and when you couldn't get 2 glitter lances off of 1 help picks after blue buff, the laning of LeBlanc deteriorated heavily. She's more about her utility, her shielding, her safety, her move speed, stuff like that. And she's not going to destroy in lane. So Faker with LeBlanc is actually the one who can win early, and you saw that with a bit of the flash. It's a testament to Link that he's kept up that close in farm.
Now we're going to see duos heading into this bottom lane. The blue buffs, first ones of the game that will be transferred over, of course, this time to Faker on the top side. Bottom side of Cloud9's jungle was invaded by Piglet and Mandu in the early stages of this match. This time around, Cloud9 will secure that one with Meteos moving forward.
Yeah, they finally standardized these lanes a little bit, but the question will be, now, is it too late? How far behind his Balls? Can he even 1v1 impact? And can they deal with the Vayne Zyra when they hit level 6 and they decide to go in on something?
Well, Vayne is already level 6. Mandu's not going to be too far away from that as well. You also have to consider what if Faker starts roaming and getting involved in other areas of the map. There's a polymorph just to make sure that Faker couldn't follow through on the damage, but one combo takes half of Link's health. Bengi is sniffing around as well. He's hit his ultimate level 6 as well, and that may help him jump in. Faker's gone deep, but Balls has come around the side. They're not too worried with Bengi actually being there as well, and they're going to spot him out.
They must have just seen him at the end there, maybe still not. Balls is only level 5. He is falling so far behind, and it's allowing Faker to play so aggressive because Bengi is in his back pocket in that mid lane.
They look to maybe make a move there. They brought Elise. Balls stayed around. They'd spotted him because of that pink ward there on the curve rush. In the end, SKT actually backed away completely from that one, and they lose some of the sight of him actually just gone over the top of the ward there without being in stealth, so they know that they're clear on that front of things, and actually Cloud9 are invading.
Yeah, they're trying to get a return kill on the buffer, maybe just get Balls going at least a little bit. Still level 5 on that Trundle. Meteos needs to help him out heavily.
17 to 44 CS, and well, with Impact just holding that wave back as far as he possibly can, making it so that Balls can't even get close enough, especially when the jungler is an Evelynn, who's now, funnily enough, in the bottom lane here.
Any type of commit in that bottom lane, and it would mean death for Cloud9. They have to be extremely cautious, and they have no way of knowing.
Oh, Mandu gets hit with the binding. They've managed to catch the Twitch, but he's too close to the tower. Piglet dives in for a bit more damage. Here they go, ultimate going on towards Lemon Nation. Double flash from the bottom lane. They push further in. Becky's gonna knock him against the wall and get a kill. Sneaky has gone invisible, going out through the tribe. Oh, that was an amazing route through. Piglet flashes over. Double kill for Bane. Are they gonna get any more? They don't chase Meteors, but that could not have gone any worse for Cloud9.
Yeah, that was more than enough for SKT from that dive. Exactly what they wanted, the brute force. They burned the summoners and still got the double kill. The SKT skins reigning supreme down there in the bottom lane. Piglet and Mandu are just wrecked.
And they get themselves a dragon as well, just to add insult to injury really for Cloud9. We're approaching 3,000 gold lead. He's 2,500 or so right now. That is not the start that Cloud9 needed in this game. We're only 10.5 minutes in. If we compare it to the Fnatic game, which was standard lanes and very slow and farm heavy for the first 15 minutes, this is such a different scenario.
They've really been forced into their decision-making so much sooner, and more importantly, taken out of their comfort zone.
Bad news for Balls here. It's Faker that's actually tanking up the turret. In the end, are they going to dive in? Yes, they are. Faker taking a lot more damage than he really calculated. Balls still sticking to his tower. I think Impact might be warned away. There's no helping coming here. Cloud9 are actually making a play on the mid turret. There's the dive in. It's Faker that comes back in to secure the 4th kill of the game for SKT.
They had all the time in the world to do that because Meteos was very clearly shown in the mid lane and there was no one else coming to help Balls, really just leaving him on an island, which is very unlike what Cloud9 would normally do. And it's all about their comfort zone and how Cloud9 was completely removed from that just at the very start of the game. Now Balls trying to teleport into the very low turret. He's got to be careful not to just lose this thing.
Impact actually is going to be taking damage here from the tower. It may have bitten off a little bit more than he can chew. He's going to Balls! He clicked back! Impact's going to get away from it. That was a catastrophe, and now they're fighting down the bottom lane. They get the kill back, but Lemon Nation will fall. That's 3 kills now for Piglet. Are they going to keep going? No, because Link is there. Piglet actually going pretty low. Wild growth wasn't used there. Link wasn't quite in range to do it.
Piglet is doing a lot of damage too with that Blade of the Ruined King being completed, and the control of the map has been lost. He's trying his best to lifesteal off of this because SKT actually wants to collapse down on them pretty hard here, with an Eve waiting in the corridor.
Oh, this is bad news. There's the ultimate coming down. They're going to try and get in on towards the party. Is the chain going to go out? Yes, it will. Link falls low, tries to get away with the flash, but he won't. Bengi gets that one.
And he did not use his wild growth there. He thought he was dead regardless. Plus, he was silenced at a lot of critical moments where he would have wanted to use it. This is going from bad to worse for Cloud9.
Bad to worse. I was talking about 2,500 gold earlier. It's now closer to a 4,000 gold lead here for SKT. And if there are 2 champions that you didn't want to let get going here, is Vayne
and LeBlanc.
And there are 2 champions, Vayne in particular, of course. 3-0-1, over 100 CS here as we hit the 13-minute mark. This is going more than to plan, I think, for SKT.
Yeah, one of the big worries for Cloud9 coming in here with Link in place of High is that when really tricky decisions and map movements would kind of catch them off guard, they wouldn't have a default strategy to go back to because they have to make everything up on the fly. And they haven't been able to do that in this game. Whether or not that is just SKT being superior tactically or Cloud9 just not necessarily knowing where to go, High is the guy who speaks and says pretty much everything for Cloud9 after 9 minutes. But the point in the game where that was needed in this one was almost immediately, because there was no pre-built notebook strategy Cloud9 could have for getting both of their buffs stolen right at the start of the game, and it's shown. SKT has been better.
Being better, Meteor's now going to a more of what we expect from Cloud9, to be honest, and that's trying to help out Balls here get going in this top lane. He's still 35 CS behind that of Impact. Not had a good time whatsoever. They are going to go into him. He's already used his ultimate here. Impact doesn't have a flash. The teleport won't get him away with the cocoon available. However, he's just going to try and run this one out. Headed down there. There's no flash for Balls. There's no flash for Meteos. As Piglet is pushing the bottom lane, Balls is going to be pushed away there by Faker. Impact survived. And we see in the bottom lane for SK Telecom that they're pushing through and they're going to get an inner tower.
Yeah, they were nearly inside the base of Cloud9 at one point. They still get the turret. On Impact's side, he has made one big escape after another. Balls just barely missing out on a couple of kills. And maybe for the first time ever, we might be seeing Balls on tilt a little bit. He missed that flash early on in the game, and now Meteos is trying desperately to help him, and the ganks just are not paying off. They're miscalculating. They've never really been this far behind an enemy top laner, and they're not able to close the kills that they want.
Bit of an unfamiliar scenario here, possibly, for Cloud9. This is a scenario where you definitely don't want to have not a stranger in your team, but certainly one that you've obviously not had the kind of practice with that you would really hope for coming into an event of this magnitude. You see there in the mid lane, Faker, Athene's is done for him. On the other side, Link not quite up to that level just yet. We've got 1 minute as well until the next dragon of the game comes up. SKT, of course, took the first one after picking up a couple of kills.
Yep.
Easy stuff for them. Timer's down for them. I don't believe that Cloud9 had any vision of it either.
5,500 gold with 15 minutes. This is actually, I think it's almost a bigger lead than what OMG had on TPA in the previous game. SKT is absolutely dominating them here. We said that Faker completed in Athene's before Link could get to it. He just went back to base and bought a needlessly large rod on top of it. That's a tremendous amount of burst potential. Lemonation has not even gotten time to put any points in Black Shield, and they really just have to hope for picks where they have more people. They never have more people.
Wow, this is going to be destruction as well. Lemonation's going to get his ulti off, but he goes to go down to Piglet. Meteos did get the kill back onto Piglet. Here's the flash away. Sneaky's going to try and finish off Mandu, but Mandu turns around and says, nope, I'm going to get that kill. He's still having the poison ticking away on him, but it won't be enough to finish it off. That's a 3-for-1 for SKT. But there is Link popping out. Bengi's going to go dangerously low from this one, but here comes Faker from the side. That will be enough to force Link away. Faker actually going in for the kill.
Whoa.
Link putting some good damage back. Bengi's coming back in. This could be a suicide mission. Oh no! They work it brilliantly. They get the kill and get out.
That is a tremendous step forward for Bengi, making that call proper. I got a chance to actually talk to Faker the other day and ask him about Bengi's struggles and what was going wrong for them. He said more so than the vision control and anything else, it's his mechanics in small 2v2, 2v1, 3v2 scenarios, and they haven't been winning the fights. They barely won it there because they made the right judgment calls and they mechanically played it right.
We just saw, Faker's actually coming in towards Lemonation, wants to say, no, you're not taking that dragon from right under our noses. Meteor say, no, I really am. I'm going to try for it at least. Sneaky coming in from the side. Faker throws all the damage towards Sneaky. Piglet's on the top side of things as well. They've got vision of that brush, but they've not got the time to do the dragon safely and then get out. You have to fear that SKT going to clear out the vision and do the dragon on their own.
And Faker is feeling so at home right now. When he is ahead on the block, he is probably the scariest League of Legends player to play against in the world. He's just going to try and assassinate whoever he can around that dragon area when all the vision is theirs.
And we also saw just previously to that the result of the absolute carnage that Impact has brought upon Balzers early mid-game here with choking him completely of all that farm. He basically 1v1'd him there in the jungle. Here is the dragon, of course, the second one of the game going over to SKT. And look, they're moving up through the enemy jungle. They're going to try and collapse on balls. Need to be careful, but they do have vision of Cloud9 coming up.
This could be a potential fight where Cloud9 does have a slight numbers advantage for a short time, but SKT could collapse so quickly. They're pushing 2 turrets at once here because they saw Sneaky in the bottom lane.
And they completely just pull Cloud9 between top lane, between mid lane here. In the end, they don't really get between either of them as Balls get stunned up against the wall. There's another kill for SKT. This time it's Impact. Are they going to try and find more? Link in the mid lane, dueling up against Bengi. Meteos is there as well, but they're going to dive towards Link, who used that wild growth on himself. There's the ultimate out of both Impact and Bengi. There is the repel on the other side. Sneaky actually got a double kill down the bottom, but we see the chase is on here for the Spider. He may try and run north. He may run into Vayne. He's going to flash over the wall. Oh, what a flash away from that one. And they just ping-pong Meteos around to pick up another one.
Even with the double kill for Sneaky, which I'm sure we'll take a look at in a moment, it is still a 9,000 gold advantage for SKT, and there's still 5 kills. We got to see what happened on the other side, though. Sneaky does manage to take out Faker here. The chain misses, and he gets into his stealth, but it's in a pink ward, so he immediately jumps out, does as much damage as possible. Just the damage of Twitch and a binding at the very end to help him close out the double. It was a very close fight, but he gets it.
Bengi here just dodging expertly of what Lemon Nation can throw through. Does
Gotta be
flash.
careful.
Link
There's
is
a Faker.
chasing him. Faker comes around the side. Will he fancy this 1v1? Lemon Nation off to the side. I don't think Faker will go any further through. His blue buff is in position, but Lemon Nation gets caught out the root, and the damage from Mandu forcing Lemon Nation down at less than half HP and out of the SKT jungle.
Look at that build Mondu's been able to put together. Magic penetration with the Haunting Guys and the Frost Queen's Claim, the fully upgraded item right there. That's a substantial amount of burst already from Zyra. He's sitting on obviously a lot of Magic Pen and 75 ability power. That's just snowballing off the early kill they were able to get down bottom on balls.
And Piglet has popped his ultimate here. Moving forward, he's up against 3, but Faker's coming around as well. They go for Sneaky. Sneaky goes down, and now Meteos might not be able to escape. That's a good cocoon, though. Are they going to be able to follow through? Faker is still chasing. Mandu had just joined in with them as well. In the end, it's 1-0. Well, they rotate straight to the mid lane here while they get the turret.
Story of the game as well as Balls being at a turret with too many people of SKT against him. He either dies or just loses the turret, and the rest of Cloud9 has been unable to capitalize on SKT's investment to shut down Balls.
Let's have a look again at the gold. Not the best of news, I'm afraid, if you're a Cloud9 fan. We're 20 minutes, 45 seconds into this one, and an 11,000 gold lead for SKT.
And the biggest thing that stood out to me there was the 7,300 gold on Mandu's support is more than anyone else on the Cloud9 team entirely. Sneaky is the closest at 7,100. I mean, this game is completely out of hand. 11,000 gold advantage for SKT. They're looking on top of their game right here. Bengi has had a lot of presence. Their lane mechanics have still been superior. The tower diving was very crisp, and everyone is just comfortably playing their game.
Did see Bengi there in behind Link in the mid lane. Also spotting Lemon Nation now coming around. So having vision without Cloud9, really realizing that one. And Ball's may now become a target as well. Bengi on the bottom side, Impact moving in through the lane on the top side of things. In the end, they don't get it. But if you look at the minimap, they have to be careful that Cloud9 don't get sandwiched here.
They're going to try to open up something, but they have to be fast.
Turning around on towards Piglet. Decent damage, but not going to be enough to finish off the kill. Here comes Evelyn from the side. Zyra gets the knock-up onto 2. Link's a dead man. Here comes the rest of the team as Lemon Nation gets destroyed as well. Meteos has gone out behind them, but he won't stand for long. That 3 for nothing. Oh, 4 for nothing. Sneaky's not getting away. They had a pink ward down there. Faker gets that one. 4 for nothing. Surely an inhib.
Cloud9 went fast, but it was not fast enough because SKT collapsed at the perfect time. They are just relentlessly pushing down this mid lane. They have the lead, they have the advantage, the kills. Now they're just cleaning up. Yeah,
this turret is going down, no question about that one. The inhib will fall as well. Couple of players from Cloud9 starting to spawn back into the game, but it's too late for the inhibitor. Meanwhile, Faker is going to have a go at 1v1 in Balls. Balls already using the ultimate and the Blade of the Rune King, doing good damage back here on towards Faker. The chain comes in, Balls flashes away from that stun. It's only Faker at this point that's chasing down Balls. He needs to be a little bit careful of how deep he goes. Balls juking everything.
He's juking everything, but he's going in kind of the wrong direction. I feel like Faker's going to have a little bit of backup right now, and if Balls tries to close, Faker's going to jump away. He is just corralling him into a place where he cannot escape.
Well, Balls is still doing well here to dodge quite a lot of this damage. However, when Bengi comes across, that is not going to change. Bengi gets the kill. He's now on a rampage. 4-0-7 for the Evelyn. This is a very one-sided match.
All men must die is what Balls had to understand right at the end of that one, because he escaped as best he could. Oh, nice little bit of Baron Egg or Elimination gets down. Go for it.
He's dead.
Yes!
Credit there. That was a nice move, but Elimination might just play the price now. We've got Evelyn chasing him down. They use the exhaust, but that's a good binding. Point blank. Elimination going to try and walk away. Meanwhile, Sneaky just being closed onto by the two of them. Meteos is going to be chased as well, slowed down by the Randuin's Omen. He's flashed. Which way is he going to go? Tribush is pretty much his only bet. But look at this, Cloud9 actually doing a 2-man push on bottom. They need to go back to their base, though.
That base is going to be going down real fast. As soon as the super minions arrive, they're going to have to recall immediately. It was a nice memory for Lemon Nation there. Great play at Baron, but they need way more than that, as a bunch of really farmed SKT people are in their mid lane.
Vayne, wow. Blade of the Rune King, Phantom Dancer. And the last whisper as Bengi and Meteor's going to go head-to-head, and Meteor's fancied his chances, but honestly, he's coming straight back down on top of him. Is he going to fall? Surely will do here. Well, he is now, because Faker comes around the side, and it's Faker that gets his killing spree.
He brought a friend, and Bengi smartly gives the kill over to Faker. The man he is so good at babysitting for and creating for as well. They can get the Baron off this one, knowing the smite is down. They're going to make short work of this game, not just this Baron.
25 minutes almost into it. First Baron of the game goes down. SKT didn't particularly need the Baron at this point, but every extra little bit of gold will make finishing out this game that little bit easier. A second Randuin Zone has been purchased there to go into the SK team, with Bengi finishing off that one. Faker, of course, Death Cap, Athenes, and a blasting one, sat on about 980 gold at this stage. And actually, Link's going to fancy his chances here of dueling him. But maybe not now. Mondu coming around the side, and Faker gets a rampage.
Distortion's right on top of him. And even though with this giant gold lead, SKT could probably beat Cloud9 with almost whatever items they wanted to build, they're still building quite smartly. So the double Randuins makes it even harder for Sneaky to get through anything, because his Spray and Play or Ratatat will hit and slow his attack speed and move speed from there. Cloud9 is desperately trying to do these strange pushes right down the mid lane where they just overwhelm them with numbers, but that it doesn't work when Faker's there.
No, he's going to go over to Rage though. Yeah. Faker follows him straight through. Double kill, easy as that. Hardly lost any health for it as well. 817 Faker. SKT are pushing the in-him turret in the top lane.
They are dominating right now. The show that OMG put on is going to be rivaled by this SKT show.
Piglet's rampage is now complete. Inhibitor turret goes down. Lemon Nation should probably just hang around by the fountain right now, because he's not probably going to get anything, as Balls is having a go at Faker. Here comes Impact though. He's having a go at his clone.
He got him.
Oh, he got him. No, the clone he walked away with, trying to bait Balls into chasing that one. Balls went down in the end, and they're already on the Nexus turrets here. A Sneaky going to be fighting head-to-head with Bengi. We've got Piglet moving in as well. He'll now go unstoppable. Will they get the shutdown? No, they won't. Bengi unstoppable. They can focus and win the game right here. That second Nexus turret is going to go down. Lemon Nation's going to try and hold on there at the back, but it's all too little, too late. SK Telecom T1 are going to take down Cloud9 here for the victory.
And that crowd is happy for SKT, trying to get some revenge for the victory that Cloud9 had over Fnatic earlier on in the day. Joe, 28 kills in a 27-minute game there for SKT. They really made that a statement against Cloud9.
From Cloud9's side of things now, going 1-for-1, definitely not the worst record that we have right now, but they need to basically forget this game. Like, literally just forget it, because there's probably not too much to go back on after about, well, the dive on the bottom tower that got Piglet rolling.
Super early on in the game, they were just a little bit confused and a little bit outplayed, and this was one of those games where, since they wanted to do a standard laning phase, as soon as that broke down, they could never get back to it. And we have to remember, it's actually a pretty good excuse for Cloud9 that they're playing with Link and not High. Not that Link isn't a fantastic mid laner, definitely top 3 in North America, mechanically just as good as High, if not better. The team synergy and the way they rotated and moved as a team early on in the game looked lackluster. That's what many people expected from Cloud9 coming into this, which is why it was so surprising when they beat Fnatic. But as you said, all said, they got to forget that.
And the fact is, that was the world champions of Season 3, so it's not the biggest surprise, I think, to everyone. It was, however, a painful loss. If we look, for example, down the scoreboard, 3-0-4 for Impact, 5-0-10 for Bengi. Faker was 8-8 by the end of it. Piglet on Vayne, 9-1-6. Can't quite see Zyra score. 3-5-11 there, and as you said, went all the damage items by the end.
Yeah, full magic penetration on Zyra. Everybody could blow somebody up. Zyra had more gold than everyone on Cloud9. 1,500 more than Sneaky. That's when the game gets out of control, obviously. The Frost Queen's claim gave him about 1,300 to 1,400 gold as well. There are a few things going SKT's way. I really can't wait then for the SKT OMG showdowns. that we're potentially going to have maybe later on. That is the early look at what might actually be the strong teams here.
Yeah, and we should also not forget this is just group stage as well. That
group stage day one.
Group stage day one, even at that. The fact is there's still a very long way to go. That, you know, getting a win here early might affect your performance and how your opponents are going to ban and pick against you in the future. Yep. Still a lot to be played for here. And, well, I think for Cloud9 in particular, if we're just looking from this game, of course, TPA and Fnatic are both 0 for 2. If one of those, well, of course, one of them will have a win by the end because they still have to take each other on.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as scouting the team compositions, on the bright side, Cloud9 played the same thing both games. So really, there's only one game to scout as far as the pick-ban phase goes. Although that is kind of a Cloud9 staple where they will have their top champions and play them every single time. SKT didn't even need to take them away, which is the scary part.
Scary part about it, taking 3 buffs at level 1. Then Cloud9 took away the turret, which actually worked very heavily against Balls in particular because he had no access to any farm for such a long time that he was just miles behind. We saw Shyvana 1v1 him without a problem at all.
Yeah, and it was really just SKT showing up once again at the big events. They have never been a team that has questionable mechanics in that sense. They have been a team that is sometimes just slow to adapt and change. And with the way the OGN Champions is set up and the way the Korean competitive ecosystem is, it's so punishing for a team that even falls out of step for a second that, like, their slump is a couple of losses, right? Yeah. They lost 2 sets, obviously. And if they make the adjustments, no one questions how great Faker is at Assassins. Piglet, mechanically, his Vayne play is arguably best in the world, right? They're still going to bring that. And if they've adapted now to the game that everyone else is playing, look out.
Indeed. Massively convincing win there for SKT. But for a first-hand account of that match, let's send things over to Shox, who is joined by the man himself, Faker, in the interview lounge.
Thank you very much. I am indeed joined by Faker. I'm a little confused after that fantastic performance on LeBlanc. We were also assisted by Homin, who works for Riot, and is constantly helping with the translation here. First off, congratulations, Faker. What an amazing game from you guys. This is the first time you guys have played Cloud9. What was it like?
이번에 공식전으로 처음으로 클라우드9 팀과 붙었는데요. 그 클라우드9 팀과 붙은 소감에 대해서 간단히 말씀해 주세요.
일단 클라우드9이랑 예전부터 좀 많이 붙어보고 싶었는데 이렇게 붙어봐서 정말 기쁘고요. 일단 오늘 경기를 했는데 일단 클라우드9의 미드 라이너 선수가 바뀌었잖아요. 그래서 완전한 클라우드9이랑 못 붙게 된 거는 좀 아쉽고 이제 그리고 클라우드9 선수들이 좀 경기가 끝나도 서로 침울해지지 않고 그래서 멘탈이 좋은 것 같더라고요. 그래서 클라우드9 선수들이 좀 멘탈이 좋은 것 같아요.
I've always wanted to play against Cloud9, but because their mid liner high wasn't here, I don't think Cloud9 was a full team. But overall, I was really glad that I had a chance to play against them. And even though the game was over, like Cloud9, the players of Cloud9, they were really smiling and they were happy to play against us. So I think they were really good players.
Awesome. Of course, you guys 2-0 here today. Another team that was 2-0 today is OMG. When talking to Going before, he said, well, I think we're going to win versus SKT tomorrow. So Faker, do you think you're going to win versus OMG?
아까 일전에 이제 OMG 팀의 고고인 선수와 인터뷰했을 때 고고인 선수는 내일 SKTK와 붙었을 때 이길 수 있을 것 같다고 얘기했어요. 이제 그거에 대해서 페이커 선수는 어떻게 생각하세요? 어떻게 이길 자신 있으세요?
일단 OMG 고고인 선수가 저희를 이길 수 있다고 했었는데 근데 저희가 일단 롤드컵을 2013 롤드컵을 우승하고 온 팀이기 때문에 질 것 같진 않아요.
So I've heard that Gogoing said that he could beat us tomorrow, but we're SKT1K, we're the world champion of season 3, so I think we can beat them tomorrow.
Indeed, you guys are the world champions and the reigning world champions here, doing very well in this tournament. But of course, kind of a rough start over in Korea in the spring season of OGN. How far do you guys think that you guys are away from being that super dominant SKT that we've known so long?
이제 페이커 선수가 얘기했듯이 SKT1 K팀은 시즌 3 챔피언이잖아요. 근데 이제 아무래도 이번 스프링 시즌 때 좀 많이 힘들어했어요. 그래서 다시 한번 그 완전 무결체의 SKT1 K팀이 되기 위해서 얼마나 다시 올라와 있는 상태인가요?
일단 지금 올스타전을 계기로 많이 좋아지려고 하고 있고요. 일단 네, 앞으로도 많이 노력해서 이번에 좀 부진했는데 다시 롤드컵 우승했던 때로 돌아갈 수 있도록 노력하고 있어요.
I think this All-Star game is going to be a good turning point for us. And it's true that we did struggle during spring season, but we're trying really hard. And we're going to keep trying to return as one of the best teams of the world.
Okay, fantastic. Well, congratulations once again. Looking forward to the rest of your games, and thank you for the translation as well. We're going to throw it back over to the guys at the analyst desk for the in-depth discussion of that last game.
Thank you very much, Sharks. Before we begin, I'd like to state two very quick things. Number one, I'm officially going on a diet and giving up all pie, probably forever. Secondarily, I would like to talk a little bit about Cloud9 in this matchup. Earlier today, we heard the interview from Meteos where he said it was a pleasure to simply scrim SKT. He quoted them as being 1,000,000 times stronger. You have to wonder about the psychological effect that had on them when they gave SKT their favorite picks. We've seen SKT Vayne, SKT Zyra, LeBlanc, I believe, Monty, you were saying, undefeated in the hands of Faker.
Yeah,
I mean,
Faker...
Brave call.
Coming into this match, Faker was 7-0 professionally on LeBlanc. This is not a champion that most teams think it's wise to hand over. And all-time, Vayne is Piglet's most played champion ever, and he has a 23-6 win rate on her, now 24-6. So it's really hard to take down SKT when they have these comfort picks that they could just easily fall back on.
And even better for SKT, with the Wayne pick they used here, there was nobody from Cloud9 who could ever get to him and kill him. Zyra was even there to help him out to peel. Even without the Zyra, I don't think they could ever get to the Vayne, and he would just be such a pain.
Well, we saw the Ezreal hover over early on where they were thinking about it, and it was the last rotation there on blue side, and I think that's exactly what they realized. They were just kind of sitting there being like, oh, well, we'll just take Vayne then.
Crepo, do you have something to add here?
Yeah, maybe. No, I just wanted to agree with what Meteos said about how much of a joy it is to play a team like SKT. When we went to Korea back in 2012, it's really fun to play teams that are better than you because it's the only way you can really learn the game and really quickly. If you look at Cloud9, they're at the top of America right now, and they're basically teaching all the other teams how to play. So having the chance to face these teams that are just world-class, this is the way you learn. Even if this looks like a complete stomp, I'm 100% sure these guys are picking up on small things. Oh yeah, they went from this lane to here. This is how they reacted. Damn, we need to react quicker, we need to react better. And once you're playing these matches, you really learn. They will be watching these VODs, and they will definitely get something out of these games as well as the scrims.
Now that's definitely the way it works at the end of the match. The way that the things that we noticed that ended up getting us there was all the way back in the beginning. Initially, we seen lane swaps. There was a couple of talking points. SKT with a strong start, stealing the buffs away from Cloud9, and then instantly moving into a position where Impact and the rest of SKT could stall out the game and arrest control. Monty, what's your thoughts?
They did talk about the lane freeze that happened a little bit, but really what truly good teams will do is they will find that point of weakness and then just twist the dagger in it. And so we'll call up a replay here of how, it was off camera at the time, but how Impact managed to freeze this lane after balls had been killed. So if we get rolling right here, we see the recall from Lemon Nation. Impact will clear out the wave just so he can reset the lane further up. Now, if we watch this, he's going to grab the minion wave, which has a cannon minion, by the way. His cannon minion has been destroyed. Pull it back, focus it on a single minion, and therefore ensure that he has control of the wave. It will constantly be pushing back towards him. So in this case, we can stop the replay, but in this case, it would have been the better idea for Cloud9 because there was a cannon minion wave coming in to stay for one more wave to bounce it off the tower.
Or, once the damage was done here, they could have forced the dragon, try and force him to teleport over, so the wave then would push into the tower, get reset once again, the cannon would die, and they would just go back to normal. But Cloud9, Balls instead, he went up to his golems, he tried to gank the mid lane, there was nowhere for him to go, unless the entire Cloud9 had just run down to the dragon. It would have been hard though, because Faker had so much pressure in the mid lane. We talked a little bit about how it would even be risky even just 4 members.
Yeah, exactly. When you have a lane freeze just in general, the reason we typically see North American teams, European teams just push those lanes out right away is because when you freeze, you're stuck isolated on the map, and the other team knows the top laner's stuck somewhere off on his own doing his own thing. You can 5v4 or 4v3 something and force a lead somewhere. At least bring the teleport. If he does that, the lane crashes into the turret. And yeah, you talk about Dragon, but anything that this team could have done. C9 shows up in force somewhere, and they can force him out.
I just want to add, like, every game so far where the team with the better strategy has involved a lot around these lanes, these minion controls, making waves bounce off a tower, which means like making them push back after taking the tower. And I just wanted to add, for people that don't know what a freeze is, it basically means enemy numbers of creeps are way larger than yours, which means they will kill your creep wave, and it will literally be frozen in place. And that's one mechanic that really needs to be watched out for. Back in Season 2, people did not know how to react to freezes. Season 3, people started reacting by moving away from the lane and started pushing another lane. And now we're just moving cross-map objectives and we're going for towers. So it's a really interesting
Just before your point, Monty, we do actually have a stat to help back this up and illustrate this. I mean, that freeze took place around about 5 or 6 minutes, if memory serves. We talked about balls. He'd been dived and he'd been locked on his side of the map. If you compare CS at 10 minutes, Impact was sitting on 53 in comparison to Balls is 20. And yeah, okay, Cloud9 had a tower to their name, but it doesn't measure up. It doesn't give you the levels or the goal that we're talking about. Something to add.
Yeah, it's just the Korean teams, they really have played the lane freezes very well, and that's been a hallmark of Korean lane swap play, is extremely good freeze control. And you have to be really, really careful, and Cloud9 was not careful enough in this situation about how they dealt with that, because we showed that replay because just that little move really changed the outcome of this game.
Individually, SKT really showed up. I mean, from that point on, once SKT got a few kills under their name, they were tower diving and they were pushing Cloud9 all over the map. It really felt like SKT had something to prove this game. To be fair, at Cloud9, they do have a win to their name. The question is, we're opening up tomorrow, the next day, with SKT versus OMG. This is a matchup that's going to be quite interesting.
No way. If you look what they did this game, how they did like this small move right there to make a lane freeze, even if they didn't freeze it endlessly, just the fact that they know how to do that, and realistically they haven't made any conceptual mistakes in the early stages of the game, there's no way OMG is going to beat them.
I disagree completely, because coming into the tournament, right, and we talked about this, I remember we all sat down, watched VODs, we're like, man, all the Asian teams are not fast pushing. They're freezing the turrets, they're doing these weird things where they're two-man pushing, right? Like they're not doing any of the 4-0s that we see all the time in North America and Europe, right? And it's like, well, that's weird. And every single time we see the Asian team will lose a turret and then bounce back from it. OMG's played the take the slow outer turret, freeze a lane stuff the entire season.
I smell a debate. We're going to get 2 replies before we need to move on. Crepo?
Well, we've watched these replays. We've also watched OMG's replays where they're almost, I don't want to say clueless. I mean, they're really good players.
They were clueless.
But they were, from a strategic point of view, they left something to be desired, and they kept going for these brawl type of composition or 5v5 top lanes, or just keep wanting team fighting. SKT wouldn't have that. Just take the other side of the map.
And once you do get the final thought.
Yeah, just in terms of the 4v0s, we did see them in Korea. However, they stopped, and the Korean team started playing much more conservatively after the lane freeze. Because if the minion wave just hits the next minion wave slightly incorrectly, and then the freeze happens, that can just end your game right there. So the team started recalling a lot earlier, not dedicating themselves to the 4v0, because ultimately, it's very high risk, low reward.
Well, I love hearing some different opinions and some arguments on the desk. We will be finding out some of the answers to those questions tomorrow. So guys, after a thrilling day 1 at All-Stars Paris 2014, let's take a look at how the table is now set in the Invitational Tournament. At the top is a tie between OMG and SK Telecom T1K, who are both ending the day with an undefeated 2-0 record.
And in the middle, it's Cloud9 with 1 win and 1 loss. And then at the bottom, we have another tie between Fnatic and Taipei Assassins, who end the day at 0-2.
And of course, tomorrow we will be bringing you another full day of matches, and here's who will be going head-to-head. We start the day with another All-Star Challenge match as Toys and Messiah join the Fire and Ice teams for a Hexakill game.
After that, we'll roll into the next set of group stage matches, which kicks off with SKT1 T1K versus OMG, and then Cloud9 will take on Taipei Assassins. And then Fnatic will face off against SKT T1K, followed by Cloud9 versus OMG. And we'll end the group stage with Taipei Assassins versus Fnatic.
As an aside, there is a very real chance that final game of the day might decide the 4th, 5th place match. Those matches will begin on Friday at 1 p.m. Central European Summer Time, 4 a.m. Pacific. And with day one down, we still have a lot of all-star action, and we look forward to having you join us here again tomorrow. In the meantime, I'd like to thank all of our special guest analysts, Monty Cristo, Crepo, Shox, Deficio, Freak, D-Man, Joe, Jack, Kobe, myself, and the entire all-star broadcast team. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on Friday. Paris has been called the City of Lights, and it has been called the City of Love. But for the next 4 days, it will be a city of legends.
My God.
Goes straight aggressive. It's a double Ezreal fight. Pearson's coming out massively on top. He can turn it around. It's a 2v1. He's going to get the double kill. That's not rolling on the floor or something.
You guys coming out very strong here on day one of the tournament. How strong do you guys think you are overall if you see the teams that you're still left to play?
各位你好。 很明显，你们在这一次表现得非常好。你们觉得在所有参赛队伍中，你们到底有多强？
最强的吧。
Best.
The best.
好吧，别说，知道吗？
And they're going for it here once again. Alan moving forward faster than the 3-man, but the damage coming back here. Alan's low, Pomelo goes away. Alan goes down, and Bebe chases.